to you. One of your statistics was, diamond creation. And how you develop diamonds, the most in the entire network. That's part of the business duplication. What are some insights on how you do that?
I think for me, it comes down to the relationships and the culture in the team, and something that I feel like I did just organically from the beginning, but obviously worked, was I really worked with my girls that wanted to build a business one-on-one every single week, and I got them on calls, and I just kind of inched them along. But now when I look back on that experience, and I still do it to this day, because I'm not gonna mess with that, is that I see that the relationship builds. We might talk business and I may inch them along in their success journey with coaching, but I get to know what's going on in their life, and I get to know them, and they get to know what's going on in my life. And when you have those types of relationships, your coaches just don't really go places, I was on the bus ride over here with one of my coaches from across the country, and she said, it's like when you become part of this, you just don't want to leave. And I said, yeah, now you got to pass that on. So I think a lot of that one-on-one, I think GSR calls for me are huge. They're like my favorite thing to do in the whole entire business. And I know that's not always the case. And it's because I spend a lot of time with GSR calls and getting to know my coaches. So that's getting started right calls. And, I think it's a delicate balance between really teaching them the business and explaining things. And that's kind of what I do for that first 30 minutes. And then I just really dive deep into, what are those moments in your life, or what is that elephant on your chest? What keeps you up at night? Like, let's create a vision for your life, because that's the gift I was given when I got here. I recognized that this opportunity could transform my life super quickly if I got really clear on what I wanted to get out of it.
Just one quick follow-up question. As you start people, and obviously you have to determine who they are, what they want out of the business, but once you sense that they're someone who wants to pursue the coaching opportunity, do you immediately set your sights on, look, your first stop, or not stop, but your first benchmark is diamond, or do you set that in their mind as a benchmark of where you want them to go?
It really starts for me with Success Club and Emerald, and I talk to them like, that's what we're going to do in the first 30 days. That's a decision. Emerald's nothing that's hard. I've talked a lot, and I talked a lot at leadership about this, that it's the story that we tell ourselves, I think, as coaches, and the stories we tell our team. And if we're telling them, like, you're going to try to get to diamond, it's going to be a long road, like, that's not a good story to tell. It's like, we're going to get you to Emerald, we can make that happen this weekend, let's do it, I'll walk you through that, let's get you in Success Club, the next step's going to be diamond. It's not a difficult thing to do. People on our team have done it in less than 30 days. Some people it takes a year. Like, the journey's different for everybody, but it doesn't have to be something that's difficult. So just kind of laying those really short-term goals out for them, but then, also projecting forward to see, the next few months.
It's funny, you mentioned Success Club, and I agree. I think that is a great first goal, and I think that a lot of times people tune into the National Wake Up Call, and sometimes they'll hear these, people, this person got 50 Success Club points or 40 Success Club points, and I'm going to actually point this to Melissa, because I think that Melissa, again, 8-time elite qualifier, but you are not a huge recruiter. Like, we don't hear those, numbers for you, but you are consistent all the time, and I think also that reflects in your team as well.
Yeah, I actually, listening to Moira right now talk about building relationships and hearing everybody up on stage talking about 2B mindset, especially if you're brand new, to understand the importance of relationship building in this business is everything. Systems are great, and people are going to come out with great systems that allow, I think, more and more people to come in, but you really have to make that effort, especially brand new in the business. What sets us apart from Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, all these other programs, going to a gym? It's the fact that you're putting yourself into a community of people that really listen to you, what your needs are, what your wants are, what your dreams are. And if you really listen to somebody and take that time to get to know them, help them reverse engineer simple goals, you've got them for life, either as a customer or as a coach. And so for me, bringing on a whole bunch of people. Now, granted, when I first started, my goal was Success Club 5, 3 coaches, And then I evolved to Success Club 10, maybe 10 coaches. And every couple of years, I have to set new goals because we get good at this business and it becomes a little bit easier the longer that you do it. So what my goals are today might sound big for somebody who's a newer coach, but I did start off small, and I've just been able to create relationships with people along the way. But understand that even if you just bring on that one customer, that one coach a month, if you really take care of them, they're going to be an amazing customer for you forever, or probably one of your most successful coaches because you took the time to really get to know them as a person.
Okay. So Amy, been with you on every Elite 10 trip, watched a lot of change, evolution. As you look back at your success over these last, how long have you been a coach now? 7 years. It's 7 years. How would you say that you have consciously evolved, intentionally or consciously evolved?
Well, I think it's always important to be a student and to always look around and see what is trending and what is catching, steam in other people's businesses on social media. And I'm an observer. I'm the kind of person who'll sit back in a room and just watch people and take mental notes. And so I do the same thing at home by myself, but with social media. And I'm just constantly seeing what's working for not just coaches on social media, but social media influencers, people who use social media for a living, doing other things, fashion, travel, blogging, whatever, and I implement that into my business. Can I give a concrete example?
Yes.
Okay, so here's an example of something that I started a couple months ago that you guys can apply, and you'll see success with it, is that I follow, I model bikinis for a girl that lives in Hawaii, and one day she was selling bikinis, doing a sale, and she did a poll, and she said, select yes or no if you want more information on my bikinis on sale, and I'll DM you the info. And I was like, I'll do the same thing for my challenge group. And then so I DM them a little script that I wrote, and I was like, what's your email? And then I'll send you more info. And I just started doing that, and I just started doing that every single week, and it was really working for leads and for getting more emails. But I think it's just really important to also understand that even at this level, to continue to get to the next level, you have to continue to check your ego and realize that, you may be having more success than the person sitting next to you today, but a year from now, they could be making more money than you, having way more success and much happier because they are continuing to evolve and to grow, and they don't think that they are better than anybody. And I think that it's important to always understand that in order for you to continue to grow, you need to learn from people who started after you, not think that you got it all figured out, and just constantly be seeing what, I feel like I learned so much from Moira, at the end of last year, that I implemented, and my team is having insane growth at the beginning of this year. And if I looked at Moira and was in competition with her and had comparison with her, and the things that coaches do with each other where it blocks that ability to be able to learn from each other, and instead I was like, hey, can I learn from you? Let's work together, let's do something, and we all work together, all the leaders, and we do groups together, and I learn from my up-and-coming leaders, I learn things from them, and it's just important to understand that you just need to see, what's working for other people, and give it a try, and keep trying until it either picks up steam, and if it doesn't work, try something else, but you have to be willing to apply things, try them out for a while, and stop it if it's not working, and try something new.
Great tip. So Holly, you started the business, became elite fairly quickly. One of the challenges that people have, they join the business, they have sort of what we call their warm market, which is friends and family that they know, and they invite them in, and then after that, it's how do I continue to meet people, develop relationships with people? And so what are some of the things that you did on your path to success to really connect with people outside of those people that you already knew?
Yeah, so first off, I had a really small warm market. A couple hundred friends on Facebook. And so I very quickly knew I needed to think of myself as that CEO of my business, and that, it wasn't just going to happen by messaging my mom and my grandma. So I also realized I needed to figure out how to connect with other people outside those friends and family. So when I first started, I built my Facebook like page and I was posting like a sweaty selfie or, you know, a random video, but there was nothing else behind it. It was just, I did my workout today, day 1, day 2, you know, there was no story behind it. And so what I found, no matter what social media platform I'm using at the time, is that I got to tell my story. And I know we've heard this before, but I would just challenge you guys to go home and start thinking about your story again. Start thinking about who are you talking to? You know, my avatar has changed. My journey has changed. When I started, I was a working professional and I had just gotten married. And then I went through pregnancy and then postpartum. And now, you know, being a toddler mom. But all of those things look different and all of them come with different challenges. So I had to really, kind of what Amy said, I mean, it's always reinventing, right? And so if it's not on different platforms, it's also knowing I'm changing, my avatar's changing, the people that are connecting with me are changing, and those stories that I'm telling, being genuine, sharing my real struggles, sharing that I was a hot mess mom with a newborn who didn't sleep till 17 months, and I was trying to run a business and, you know, keep it all together, and I wasn't gonna look like that perfect social media mom. And that was okay, because I attracted people to me who then identified with my story. And, you know, really dig deep. I think a lot of times when we say, well, my avatar, the person I'm talking to, is another, you know, 34-year-old mom. But one of the examples I like to give my coaches is, you know, they'll be like, well, I love drinking coffee. So maybe I'm talking to someone who likes to drink coffee. But do they like to go to Starbucks? Do they like to make their coffee at home out of like their little Keurig? Do they like to drink really cheap coffee because they love their coffee but they don't want to spend any money on it? You know, like all of these little tiny traits are going to change who your avatar is and how you actually speak to them. So really doing that deep dive into who am I talking to and who's going to identify with my stories has been transformative, and it goes across every platform. I mean, my business really did well on my Facebook like page, which I'm still utilizing, but then Instagram, you know, it all translates, and Insta stories, it's even easier to be the real you, to share those real moments and tell your day-to-day stories, no matter how small you think they are. That's the other thing, you know, people look around and they say, well, I don't have a big story, but it's not the big stories, it's the little stories.
And just to follow up, I think a lot of people potentially don't have the confidence in their own story, so they try and create a new story. And the reality is that people see through that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, my life is not exciting. You know, I was a mom at home with a kid. There's nothing grand about that. And I get so many coaches who say, wow, I don't travel, I don't do this. That's okay, because most people don't, you know? It's about being real.
That's great. Okay, so Moira, I'm going to come back to this diamond piece a little bit. You talked about, because I think this is so important. This is a business of duplication. It's recruiting, and then it's retaining, and it's duplicating in many respects. And creating new diamonds is a tough thing. You talked about relationship building. But once you build a relationship, okay, we're buds now. Okay, now we're down to the brass tacks of building the business. What pieces do you put in place really to lay the framework to get them to motivate them to work or to do the work?
The magic question.
Yeah.
We all know what to do, but we don't always do it, right? So I really think that when you come in here, you know, we hear, at least I heard a lot in the trainings and all these calls about your why. And for me, I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. And for me, it was more of a vision. Because I got tripped up on the why thing because I was so trapped in that comparison game, you know, and I would hear about some incredible why, and the one that always sticks out to me is somebody saying, you know, my husband's overseas in the military and his life is at risk and he's not seeing our children being raised. And I was like, that's a really good why. You know, and I had nothing like that. I just kind of wanted like a pool. And So I had to dig a little deeper, but I thought that was going to be, I was going to fail in the business because I didn't have that burning, building why. And so I just went home and I wrote out what I wanted for my life. Tears. I wrote out what kind of relationship I wanted with my husband. I wanted, the financial freedom to travel, to make decisions like where my kids went to school, the kind of home that I wanted to have, the friendships that I wanted to have, the team that I wanted to build, who I wanted to become. And I wrote it out and I didn't overthink it, and it was probably like a page and a half. And here's the kicker, and what I want you to really take home with you, because I think a lot of people do this exercise or a vision board, and that's great, but if you stick it on a shelf or in a drawer, it does you no good. And so that's part of my morning routine. I read it every single day. I track, almost 3 years into it, that I read my vision. And if 3 or 4 days go by, I'm off my game and I'm just not feeling the motivation to work the business, it's because I'm not connecting with my vision every day. And that is, I read it at 5:30 in the morning, and when it's time to do a power hour at 9 and I don't really want to, I do it. I show up every single day because that vision is front and center. And I teach my team to do that, and we track it and we talk about it and we dig into that. So I think just keeping that vision first and foremost in the front of your mind every day is what gets you to show up and work your business. It's just a non-negotiable.
Kind of a side note to that, I'm reading the Brendon Bouchard book, The Habits of High Performers, and I'm reading it yesterday, and it was talking about one of the characteristics of a high performer is that they intuitively track their business. And I think it's interesting, even with the vision piece, you'll go back and you'll look at that and track that, because that which we measure, we perform. He said that's one of the characteristics they found again and again and again. So even something like a vision, reading your vision board, that you're tracking that.
Amy, I have a question for you. So if you could go back to your first year as a coach, what would be your do-overs?
Well, I have a lot of do-overs, but I think I'm going to say 2. The main one was that I was a retailer. So I was getting a lot of recognition, which I obviously thrive on, which is not a negative thing, by the way. And I was getting recognition from high success club points. And so I was very high at the leaderboards. I was at the top of the leaderboards on my team page, and I was, I won like a team or network competition, and it was really proud of myself, and I was helping a lot of people. But I wasn't gaining the traction in my business that I saw everybody getting around me. All of my peers were shooting to 5-star, 9-star, all this stuff, and I was diamond. And I didn't understand, and it was very frustrating for me. And everybody was, building these teams and leadership, and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you guys, I hated the word leadership for like the first 3 years of my business. It was just like, I didn't understand it. I thought it was like stupid. I was just like, why does everybody care about leadership? Like, just do what you have to do, I didn't understand it. It made me so mad, because I just wanted people to take ownership for themselves. And so obviously that stunted me, and because of my hard-headedness, which is something I've always had to work through, a slow learner. So I didn't focus on team building until like 2.5 years in, maybe even 3, which is the first year that I decided to push for top 10, and I realized that I had to build a team to do that, and I just had to surrender and be teachable. And so I would say, like, if you are, really rocking Success Club and you have no problem talking about the fitness and all that kind of stuff, dive into leadership and start focusing on team building, because where focus goes, energy flows. And like the team building aspect of this business is the business, and it's so important. And it takes a while to understand, like leadership development points and all that kind of stuff. That is not easy. And so as time goes by, like you need to be learning how to step into your role as a leader, and it's going to help you in every other aspect of your life too, guys, not just Beachbody. I'd also say the other thing is that, I just forgot what it was. There's so many things. Let me think a second. Yeah, I guess I lost it. It's gone.
Well, that one was a good one. So that one was like 1.5. So I think that's good.
Okay. So Melissa, you've got a big business now. You've been in the business 10 years, I think. And so businesses grow, but it's all relative for people. And everyone's always juggling life. And I've heard it said, everyone's juggling balls. There's glass balls that you don't want to drop, and there's the rubber balls that you can afford to drop. If you were to say, okay, here's the balls that I can drop because they're going to bounce back, and the glass balls that a new coach can't drop. They got to stay focused on this, no matter what, to be successful.
Being a grandma coach in this business, it'll be 10 years in June. I watch my new coaches come in, and I watch my veteran coaches struggle. And what I think I notice, and my old mentor, Shalene Johnson, used to talk about all the time about the seasons in your life, the seasons in your business. And although I get that, I think some people take that a little too literally. And so this is the season of personal development, or this is the season where I work on my own physical transformation, or this is the season where I work really hard on my business to become an elite coach. And although I understand there's some things that you might put on a higher tier, you have to juggle your own physical transformation. We are always a work in progress. You always have to work on your team and developing leaders. And then you also always have to work on putting yourself out there and asking other people to join you in the business. So although if you can just see yourself juggling 3 balls, sometimes you can throw one up there and then just juggle the 2.
I knew when Jeff asked this question.
That was one of those moments. I'm done.
You get my point, right? Can I stop?
I think we lost him.
So, okay, Amy remembers the other thing.
That reminded me.
Yeah, this is what it's like to hang around with Amy.
Okay, so I invested I think an entire year in one person, like my first year believing in her, and I wasted so much time on just like 1 or 2 people for like my first 2 years, like really investing in them. They're gonna be my people, and they're not in the business anymore. Instead of really just like concentrating on abundance and finding more people and exposing as many people to the opportunity as I could. And I see a lot of times where coaches where I'm like, how many people are you talking to right now? You know, for Success Club or for your new coaches? And they're like, I'm talking to like 3 people. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's not gonna work. Like, you need to always be talking to more people and bringing on more people, because unfortunately, this is a replace people faster than they quit. Especially like retention is something that I want you to learn how to master. But until you master retention, like you really got to learn to bring more people on, because a lot of people, I mean, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And so you got to really be bringing on people to replace people before they quit, just in case that it doesn't take, you know, they decide they don't want to do this. So that's something I really believe in.
Great. So, Melissa, as you were talking about juggling the 3 balls, what popped into my mind, I don't know about everybody else, but what popped into my mind was the reality that this is a business that takes consistency. You know, it's like the compound effect. You got to just do a little bit every day. And I think, and I'm going to ask this of you, Holly, but I do think in that sort of daily activity, there are times when everyone loses motivation, you know, and so the question I would have is, how do you get past those spots when, you know, the day-to-day starts feeling like day-to-day, and you don't want to give up on that? I'd love to hear from Holly, and if anybody else has any input on that too.
Yeah, I mean, motivation is huge, and obviously we know we have to be reading personal development every single day, or else the no's or the silence are going to become too much. I mean, I know there are some days when you're like, every single message is a no. Like, when is that yes going to come? And for me, it goes back also to what Moira said. I have that vision, and so every morning I wake up and I write my affirmations. Every single morning. And it's funny, looking back now, the affirmations that I wrote last year have all come true. Already this year, the #1 affirmation I wrote, we're in process, we're getting there, but like, it's happening. And so for me, the motivation you have to truly believe, like down in the depths of your soul, that this business can work for you. Because if you have that doubt, if you let that doubt in, if you stop reading personal development, it's so easy to stop this business, right? It's so easy to stop messaging. It's so easy to stop posting. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you start losing that momentum, it's like you're starting all over again. So on those days I don't want to do it, I turn on Audible, I do a workout, I write my affirmations, I look at where I've come from too. You know, as much as we all have these big goals, and every year the goals get bigger, never forget to look at how far you've come and how many people you've already helped on that journey, and use that to inspire you and to motivate you to keep going. Because just never, I mean, for me, it really is, you have to believe it. So if you don't believe down the depths of your soul that this can work for you, if you don't look around and say, this business can work for anyone, and look at how different we are, and look at, you know, different years and different social media platforms and different ways of approaching the business and talking to people and leading, but yet this business has worked for all of us and our teams. And so that to me has really been the big key.
Let's kind of move to a little bit of a speed round, okay? Just kind of the quick answer to a question. So, again, I'm a little fixated on Brendon Burchard again, because of his book on the on habits of high performers. But he made the comment that he said, high performers have to be insanely good at certain skill sets. If you were to define, and putting you on the spot here, if you were to say, this is what I do really well, this is a skill set that I think every coach has to do to be successful, to some matter, but some matter more, what would that skill set be? We can start down at that end.
For me, and it's something I'm really,
It impacts the business.
yeah, throwing at my coaches right now, is to make sure you just stay passionate about something. I know your upline probably recommends the new latest greatest book, Girl Wash Your Face or something like that, which I'm listening to is amazing, but at the same time, maybe that doesn't put a fire in your belly about something. So what is it that you just want to share with the world? For me, it's nutrition. So I'll pick up a book that just gives me these huge aha moments to where I feel like I need to stand on a pulpit and just share with people and help change their lives in that way. It doesn't have to be nutrition. It could be fitness. It could be mindset. It could be anything. But stay passionate about something that gets you up in the morning and excited for you to share with other people, that keep you helping change other people's lives. Because if you get in the business mindset where it's business every day, all day, you'll lose that passion and you'll lose the enjoyment for what you're doing. So 10 years later, I'm still very passionate, so excited every day to wake up to do this, because I keep in my mind what it is that I just love to do. So stay true to what you love to do and don't get suckered into just doing business every day.
For me, I'd say a really great skill set that I had to learn early on was people skills. I didn't have them at all. I just was not into people at all. I'm telling you, straight up.
Are you certified now, or?
In people?
Yeah.
I think I'm getting better. But I was all if you know me at all, you know I'm all very passionate about plants and animals. And it's just my thing. And so to be in a people business, obviously I had to learn how to communicate. I had to learn about different personalities. I had to learn how to listen. These were, I say, the 3 skills that I think really changed the game for me. Learning how to communicate with my spouse, learning how to communicate with my team. I was just, I didn't have that, and that's not a skill that, you can just not have. And then the listening part, I was one of those people that would be talking, and to the point where I'd be like, why can't I shut up? I would annoy myself. And now I listen a lot. I ask questions and I listen, and I stop talking and I allow other people to take the stage and other people to walk in front of me. And when you're a self-born leader, you have to learn how to, just let other people shine. And then with the personality types, I'm a very strong personality, and that's not everybody's cup of tea. And so I had to learn how to speak to different personality types in order to resonate with all the different kinds of people who would join my team, because my team is a melting pot of people. And it's just really important way to be able to communicate more and to be able to resonate with more people, which for me, I don't have a specific brand. I just want everybody and anybody to join me. And I love everybody's unique, aspects of who they are. And so I had to learn how to communicate with more different types of people. And so just invest in the business development part of this business. There's a personal development part, but the business, the skill set part, you guys need to also spend time learning and teaching and self-educating.
I thought this was a speed round. I had a one-word answer. No, I'm kidding. I have so many answers for this question, It is a speed round. Okay. No, I think mastering your time. Mastering your time, I feel like I continue to evolve in that area, and I try to get better and better and better at it, and I do, but it's truly the idea that, I know Melanie Mitro does in 1 hour what I do in 8. And I look at that and I just try to dial in my time better, manage my time better, be present when I'm inviting, be present with my children, be present to my team, and just really hone in on time slots in my day that make me so much more effective and so much more able at the end of the day to detach from my business, feeling like I put in a ton of good time with my work, and then be present with my family.
Yeah, for me, this business has been about consistency and hard work. This business is simple, right? We talk about the 4 vital behaviors, and I just knew that if I could show up every day and just work harder, right? I was like, I can outwork people. If I can work harder than the next person, I can make it here. I can make it to top 10, right? And that has been kind of my journey, is making sure that every single day I show up, and I show up for myself, I show up for my coaches, and I show up for my challengers, and I give to them everything that I can give them so that they can see success. And when I did that, really it's come down to just focusing on showing up and putting in the work.
Awesome. Well, I think that we've probably run out of time. But it was awesome having the 4 of you. Great insight, as usual, as we knew that you guys would deliver. So let's have a hand for